What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boys over here at Three Man Weave. I'm your lovely co-host ZD in the building with CJ. We coming at you guys live, man. On a Monday, it's November 10th. We missed Saturday, but we back again, bro. Lakers are playing right now. Thunder don't play. Thunder have only lost one game. There's a lot to be happy about in the NBA right now, man. And league looks really good. I tagged you on Twitter today, bro. Just a lot of joy, a lot of happiness. The Hawks killed the Lakers the other night, man. It was a 122-102 loss, and Muhammad Gay dropping a career high in points. And yeah, I was pissed off, but again, seeing the joy from other players, it does make me happy as well. But how are you doing, my man? How are you feeling today?
Man, I'm feeling good, bro. Like you said, didn't shoot on Saturday, but we're back at it at the beginning of the week and just kind of wrapping up the things that happened these past couple of days, and it's good, bro. Like you said, the Thunder lost to the Trailblazers, 121 to 119. It was a hard fought game. It was the Drew Holiday game, bro. It's crazy that type of player that he it still is, but what he didn't have to show when he was in Boston, just because he's kind of like the fifth, sixth
Yeah,
fiddle on that
different
team.
situation.
But what he's been able to do for the Trailblazers, bro, be that point guard, hitting big shots, and honestly just scoring whenever they kind of need someone to get it going. He's been doing that for them. So that was his game. That was an incredible game on his end. And we had an opportunity at the end of the game. Try to. We had free throws. I think Joe missed the first one. It was a 3-point. He got fouled on a 3-point shot, missed the first one, makes the second one, but we have to end up trying to get the ball and tip it in. We ended up missing it, but obviously it sucks. But we've been talking very highly of the Trailblazers. They've been kind of proving to us this year that they're not just a pushover team anymore. So a hard
Not
team
at
to go
all.
against. It was off of a back-to-back as well. We had injuries, no excuses, right? I definitely still thought we could have beat them, but hey man, if we lose like that to up and coming team in this league right now, I don't think it's anything to hold our head down on. We could be 11-0, but it's still our only loss, and we're the first team this season to make it to 10 wins after these past two games against the Kings and then the Grizz yesterday, which we'll probably talk about a little bit later on into the podcast. But bro, I'm good, man. Can't complain. Shay's been performing at a high level. iHeart has been balling the fuck out these last couple games, bro. 3 straight games with a double
Yeah.
double, and AJ Mitchell, bro. So I
Oh,
can't complain, man. We got a squad full of guys that have that
awesome.
next man up mentality, and just excited to watch them play anytime I get the chance. And I think the next game we play is actually against y'all on Wednesday, so it's gonna be a good
Yeah.
matchup, and I can't wait for that. So, but it's all good on this end, bro. I cannot complain, man. 10-1 and
Solid.
coming off of a championship. So boys are doing the work and
Yeah.
putting us in that tier of elite teams right now in this league. So cannot complain.
I hear you, bro. I think, yeah, it's just like I said, a lot of good hoops right now. We are the beneficiaries of that. Outside of the streaming issues, bro, I can't complain, right? Speaking of that, let's just dive right into it. Let's talk about the Lakers and Thunder. ESPN couldn't really watch the game. I had to illegally stream it. I think I might invest into Disney Plus, take the L. If YouTube TV figures it out on the back end, cool, I'll cancel it. But I might have to end up taking the L just because we spoke about this, but it is our job, and we appreciate the sport. We've been getting on the clips and on the pods, and like it's something that we take seriously. And so obviously it's an investment, aka spending the money. You're a fan, and this is kind of besides the point. I'm on a tangent now, but if you're a fan, bro, and you invest into League Pass and YouTube TV and then ESPN Plus, like all of these platforms just to watch your favorite team, that's it says a lot about your character. And seeing Anthony Edwards, bro, give away the jerseys, right? Like it makes it worth it. It's not all bad.
Yeah.
You never know what you might get just getting yourself into these games, man, and the nosebleeds. And I know you and I were very thankful to go to Game 6, closeout game for the Mavericks a couple years back. And yeah, I'm very thankful for the hoops that we have right now. But anyways, allegedly had to illegally stream the Spurs game versus Lakers. Wemby versus Luka, bro. We were playing at home, and it was a good matchup. Very good, like high pace. Still no Castle. Harper was out for this, or no Castle, no Fox. Harper was out for this one. Castle was in the game. He
Hmm.
did a really good
He's been
job,
doing great.
actually. He
Hmm.
was one of the more impactful players in this one.
Very much so.
But yeah, we have a couple games to go through, so I'll make it quick, kind of jump right into the fourth. At this moment in time, man, Wembenyama, we knew he had 4 or 5 fouls. I think he had four going into the fourth, and it's interesting. Over the last 3 games, bro, Wembenyama's kind of been a little.
Yeah.
He hasn't been as dangerous as we first saw during opening week, but I will say that we played him pretty well. I think JJ had a really good game plan for him in this game. We played really physically. I think that's ultimately, I had in my notes, like, that is one thing that I've noticed that Wembanyama does struggle with is the
Hmm.
physicality.
Yeah.
And that's something that's always been on the scouting report for him coming into this league. Can he get stronger? Can he develop his body that way he can handle that contact? And he's gotten a lot better, bro.
Yeah.
But I still think Ayton put a lot of pressure on him. But there ended up being a charge that Rui Hachimura took on him to get him his fifth foul. He ended up, at this point, I think I'm not sure exactly the score when Marcus Smart took it, but it was a close game because we ended up winning 118 to 116. And I think Marcus Smart had that charge on him, but he also had the inbound violation. And this was the thing about that. I think Marcus Smart, I've spoken about it highly, but Marcus Smart is an energy guy. He had a brain fart at the end of the game with that inbound violation. It did potentially put us in jeopardy. We saw Kelly Olynyk try to finish a putback layup that ended up rimming out. We ended up getting that win, but I think the Spurs have taken a real leap. Over the last couple seasons, they've played us really well. Specifically, I don't know what it is. There might be a little rivalry brewing with that, but the Lakers and the Spurs is a pretty competitive matchup, and this one was no different. I think, I have this theory because Carlos is a fan of the Spurs, but maybe their timeline is kind of already now. Maybe their championship window is open. I don't think the Spurs are knocking on the door. I feel like they can compete for a championship, and our team showed a lot of resilience. We were very top heavy in this one. I think Luka ended up finishing with like 35 points again, 13 assists, 9 rebounds. He's just been, again, the catalyst to our offense. It's pretty hard to come on here and explain more about Luka that hasn't already been explained, but he's just the Don, man. And he's outside of the ill-advised 3-point shots every once in a while. I feel like playing around Luka is something any team would like to have. So I'm glad the Lakers have that. But yeah, it was a really good win. Just a competitive, gritty win. And I feel like, again, the Spurs are a contender in my eyes. Like I just said, I don't think they're knocking at the door of a championship window. I feel like it's already open. And so the fact that we were able to get such a close win against this team says a lot about where our squad is. And but I'm more excited about those to talk about the loss, bro. Man, Hawks 122-102. We lost pretty badly. Like I said earlier, we got a couple games to go through, but this is the one I want to talk about. Mohamed Gay, man. I mean, first quarter, they sort of blitzed us. I think he hit a couple big threes in that first quarter. He ended up finishing the night with 21 points. Dyson Daniels also chipped in 10 points, 13 assists, and 8 boards. And they were banged up, bro. We spoke about it before we came on here, man. No Trae Young, no Jalen Johnson, no KP. They didn't have Nikola Dursic as well, but they were Nickeil Alexander-Walker, I think, too. So they were missing the majority of their roster, bro. They came in and they did some damage. So on the offensive end, I think Zachary Richache also played really, really well. I said this to you before we recorded again, but I feel like he's the best player in that class. Alex Sarr is a great developmental piece for the Wizards, and this is a mini tangent, but I think Alex Sarr is really, really good. But I'm still taking Richache with the first pick. I think his offensive game has just expanded a ton, and for me, it's his guard skills, bro. What he's able to do as a forward in this league is really important. But they led by 30 points, man, despite not having these guys in the lineup, which was kind of eye-popping to me. I'm going to speak about it later, kind of coming up here in the matchup with the Hornets that's unfortunately occurring right now. It's 7 p.m. Eastern. But we got to clean up the defensive issues, man. I think Atlanta was leading like 37-20 at the end of quarter one. So we were trailing by almost 20 points, and kind of goes to show you our defensive issues right now are pretty glaring. I was telling you again, not to give it away to the audience, but this game will probably finish anyways. But we were losing to the Hornets before we came on here and chopped it up, bro.
Hmm.
And it's like, what's going on the defensive end, man? It's we were playing well the first week of the season on the defensive side of the ball, and I think that was contributing to such a great net rating. But as that's tapered off, we've seen these losses can happen like that. I think we had, a little bit more momentum rolling in the second quarter. I think the Hawks were able to extend their lead like 62-47. So they were still up by a fair amount of points, and we were able to cut it. I think Luka had a little flurry of points, pick and rolls. I feel like, no AR in this one, so he was asked, to do a lot more with the ball handling responsibilities. I also didn't bring this up before, but we were also missing AR in that San Antonio game. So there is a lot on Luka's shoulders. We know he's put up 73 points against the Hawks, but like, bruh, it's a little bit too much. I think by the end of the third, they were up by 26, and that's where I turned it off. I knew, like I told this to CJ, but I knew the body language, the way that we looked, we kind of packed it in, and that's okay. I think when Muhammad Gay gives you an all-star type night, he finishes with a career high in points, and the Hawks put up 122 points. There's not really much you can do. I think, like I said, pointing to the defensive issues, I just don't see a ton of connectivity on that side of the ball, right? We talk about continuity a lot, but connectivity looks like, having your man's back whenever you get back screen. You get drove past on a blown by and you're in help side, right? Like the connection of your defense is really important. That's something the Thunder have down packed. But yeah, we're currently ranking, I think, 17th in net rating right now. So we've dropped a little bit, and then we're 12th in offensive rating, man. I think we got a 116.2 offensive rating. So we're still putting up numbers on that side of the ball, but defensively, I mean, we gave up 116 points to the Spurs, 122 to the Hawks. The Spurs is one thing with Wemby, but the Hawks with, Trae Young out and all those guys out, it's pretty inexcusable. But, taking that loss, it was probably the toughest loss of the season so far. So that's why I wanted to talk about it a little bit. But 1-1 in the last two games that we haven't gotten on here and chopped it up. So I'm not out on the Lakers, bro. They're still going to be a top 5 seed in the West. I'm not too concerned. I think it was just a bad game. I saw JJ's post-game press conference, and he was just very blunt with the media, wanted to get straight to the point and get out of there. So I understand, but just needed a little bit more on the defensive side of the ball, and we weren't able to get it. But yeah, just a little bit of an analysis, man. I think taking the charges is really the main reason why we won that game against the Spurs. A lot of people don't see that in the box score, but charges do lead to turnovers, and that did cost the Spurs in that one. And then our defensive issues with the Hawks, I think that's why we ended up losing that game. So couple bangers, but we ended up getting blown out. So not too happy about that.
Yeah. No, yeah, it sucks, bro. Like you said, because going into that Hawks game, they're down pretty much their starters really and their main rotation pieces. So should have been an easy one for y'all, but of course, like you said, Muhammad Gay just had an all-star performance, bro, and those are the type of games where like these guys can prove themselves. So it's hard to count teams out, and you look at the spreads or whatever it may be, and it's like, man, like that's manageable. These are NBA players, so anybody could pop off at any moment. But kind of go into the Thunder analysis. I brought up the Portland game a little earlier, that 2-point loss that we had to them, but following that game, we ended up going to play the Sacramento Kings, and this was a NBA Cup game as well. So, definitely was locked into this one. I think I was off that day, so it was a later game, but I ended up staying up.
Oh
I think I
yeah,
took a nap that day so I could stay up, bro, just because these night games mess me up sometimes, bro. But this was a great game, bro. First quarter, DeMar DeRozan, bro, hitting threes. It's one of
yeah,
those games, it's doing the thing that I've
us.
noticed against the Thunder, bro. Like, we have the target on our backs now, so I feel like any team we go against, they're gonna give us their A game, and it's gonna be a competitive game in the beginning at least, and that's what it was for this. You brought him up, Russ, bro. I feel like anytime he goes against us, he always tries to prove a point, and like he doesn't need to prove nothing to me. You're one of my favorite players
Oh
of all
yeah.
time, one of the greatest point guards of all time. But just what he's been able to do with the Kings, bro, just it blows my mind that he barely was able to get onto a team in this offseason, but I'm glad that he's doing his thing. The past really 3-4 games for him have been incredible. So what he was able to do, and then just really they blitzed us that first quarter. We were only losing by 2 heading into the second, but second quarter is when we really put it on them. iHeart, like I said, had an incredible game, had a 33 and 19 rebound point, or 33 points, 19 rebound game. So career high for him, and almost getting that 30-20 game. But just really that second quarter blitzed them, scored 40, held them to 24. And that was pretty much the game right there. Third quarter, they started going a little bit of their runs, and, started to make the game a little more interesting. But we really, fourth quarter, Shea didn't play again. And we just had our bench unit out there, and we were able to hold them to 18 points. Obviously, they pulled their players, and this was a cup game, like I said, so we're still trying to, actively score. We were having like Isaiah Joe in there late, and Chet was still getting minutes because I think he was in foul trouble pretty early this whole game. So
Okay.
didn't really see Chet this game, but what iHeart has been able to do, bro, it's been incredible. Just his playmaking ability, his floater has been hitting this whole first month of the season, and even what he's been able to do vertically as well. Like he's a lob threat now, and I didn't really see that last year, so it's cool that they're implementing that in the offense as well now, because anytime iHeart gets the ball, he's usually the one on top of the key making decisions. But we have Chet that could do that as well, and usually they'll crash towards wherever the ball is at, and then just kind of leave that back door open for a lob. And we've been able to capitalize on those type of plays a lot. And when you have two bigs that are versatile and can play make, at a pretty high level for their position, it just opens up the offense, and it just gives us those easy buckets. So blitzed them in that second quarter, and that's really what won us the game. And then kind of coasted throughout the whole time. AJ Mitchell has been doing fantastic. I think
Yeah. Oh, he's awesome.
he ended up getting a double double, 18 and 10 this
Six
game,
man.
sixth man of the year, bro. And it was, of course, it was the one time I wasn't starting him, bro, because I was like, oh, like I'm gonna start one of my other guys on my dynasty, and he has, probably one of his best scoring performances in fantasy. But no, yeah, that was an incredible game, bro. Ended up beating them 132 to 101, and especially it being a cup game on the road as well. We've been on a road trip these past, I think, 4 straight games, including the one that I'm going to talk about next, which was against the Grizzlies. But finished off strong. Russ had an incredible game. Didn't see a lot of Keon Ellis, bro. I don't know what's been going on with that. The last time we played them, I said that was their like bright spot of their team, and I feel like he just doesn't get that much run as he should. I think it was a problem whenever
Interesting.
who's their last coach? Sorry, drawing a blank.
Um, um, wasn't honestly me too. Who is their last coach?
I can't think of
I
him,
don't
but
remember.
he wasn't playing Keon Ellis.
Put
Long
me on
story
the spot.
short, but with Doug Christie as well, he hasn't been playing him as much, so it's very surprising. He's one of your younger pieces, and I think he should be getting a lot more playing time, especially where your roster is at and the timeline of all the players on your team. You're starting essentially a 4 guard lineup. Going against us, you had Drew Eubanks starting, and then you had Schroeder, Russ, and Levine, and then you
Dude,
have DeRozan.
I'm sorry. We're dumb because it just came to my head. It's Mike Brown,
Mike
but
Brown,
I
yeah.
don't know. You took the,
Just
I
brain
feel
farted it. Yeah,
stupid.
because
You
now
put me. Yeah, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Mike Brown. Apologize. But even he wasn't giving Keon Ellis. So I don't know if it's a him thing or if it's a
Yeah,
coach
that's a
you know what I
good
mean?
point, man.
So he just hasn't been given the opportunities, and I feel like he's probably their best young asset that they got on that
Yeah,
roster right
that's a
now.
great point.
So that was a little surprising, but there's spurts of this game, bro, where the Kings, they're not a
They're
terrible
good.
team. Yeah, like
Yeah,
they're not
exactly.
they're not terrible, and they're not great, right? They're kind of that fringe playing team. I wouldn't be
In the
surprised,
middle.
especially if,
6'7".
yeah, like 6'7", you know what I mean? Like if Russ keeps playing at this level, they're gonna be competitive all year. So I think it's Dennis Schroeder
I agree.
hasn't really been performing. I've seen his body language in some clips, and it's just like, a little alarming. Russ, I think, ends up hitting a big shot. I don't know, one of the games that they had, and he just kind of doesn't even look at Schroeder doesn't even look at Russ, like acknowledge it. So
Yeah,
it's
I
just
like
like little,
excited for
yeah,
him.
it's like it's interesting stuff like that. I get you're not doing well, but you don't want to be that guy on that roster. Just because you're not doing well doesn't mean that your team can't still win. So was interesting about that, but obviously Sabonis was out. Levine went this game, but he wasn't as aggressive as I think he should have been, especially to begin the game. I think it was just because Russ had to go in and DeMar was hitting his threes, so I was like, man, it's gonna be one of those games. And then just kind of second quarter, kind of blitzed them, and that kind of was that. But going into this Memphis game, bro, wasn't I didn't watch it, but I sat down and watched the all the possessions, and I wrote a couple notes. But you know, kind of starting off, my first note that I had, really just going into the half, we were down 51-62. The
Not
Grizzlies,
good.
bro, we were not doing good. Like I said, we only scored 51 points. That's 25 points in the first, 26 in the second. They scored 33 and 29. So they kind of blitzed us to begin. Man, you brought him up last time you went against the Grizz, bro. Jock Landale. He's
Doc
knocking down
Landale.
thrills. He's knocking down threes, bro. The thing with the Grizzlies, they're doing good, or when they do good, it's because of their role players that are stepping up. Jock Landale, Santi Aldamas. I think Jalen Wells, this was probably one of his better games that he had this year. Um, it's been
Cedric Coward.
Cedric Coward, yeah. Like he's been like we talk very highly of this draft class. He's right up there, in the conversations
Right
of
up there,
being
yeah.
in that rookie of the year race, just because what he's able to do. And that, I mean, we talked about it with the Grizzlies, bro. They always have a good rookie, or they have developed someone that went in the second round to be a decent rotational piece for a roster. So wanted to bring that up. And another one of my points, the two-man game of iHeart and Chet is amazing. Both are able to pass and score from the paint, and I think that is something I brought up earlier with the being able to throw, your big mans could throw oops to each other is incredible, and just being able to run your offense. Barnheiser gets a big block on Cedric Coward, and then Shea comes down on Coward as well and nails a three right in his face to tie up the game at 76 apiece with 2:28 left in the third quarter. That was a huge shot because up to this point, we were pretty much playing catch up. Headed into like really that, I think, like I said, heading from the second or going into the second half, this is in the third quarter, we were going back and forth with them the whole time. They would come down. Their offense was looking good. Ja hasn't, didn't really have that good of a game, but he's looking a lot better than what he was whenever we were talking about him. I wouldn't say
Yeah.
not performance wise, because I wouldn't say he's performing to his level, but just his attitude. It doesn't look as he's just giving up. Like you could tell that he was in this game. He
He's
wanted to,
playing,
yeah,
yeah.
he wanted to compete. Not like I said. I think that just is a part of being the defending champ. When you come into town, that's how it is. So I don't know if that's just a one-off thing, but wanted to bring that up because we just talked about Ja a decent amount this past
We
week.
did, yeah.
AJ Mitchell's shot creation ability is unbelievable. There's times in the game when he's the main initiator of the offense, even when Shea is on the court. So I think that's a point that I wanted to bring up because I feel like that's something we didn't really have. Obviously, J Dub was able to be that secondary initiator of the offense whenever Shea is on the court, but the fact that we got that with AJ Mitchell now, we don't have J Dub. I think it's just gonna help us further out and just his progression this season, bro. I can't talk enough about it just because I was not expecting this leap from him and coming into this season. He wasn't a player where I was like, oh man, AJ Mitchell is gonna have one of these years. Maybe that's because I'm not as tapped in as I should be, but just from what we didn't, it was a small sample size of him playing last year. It was like garbage time, and he was kind of deep into the roster, so we weren't able to see the type of player that he can be. And I mean, he's showing us that he's a six man of the year or front runner at this point of the year, and what he's been able to do for our offense. Like I said, even when Shea is on the court, is unmatched, and I think it's something that we're really needing to kind of elevate us to that next level. Even though being champions is already that level, but maintaining that and the showing the depth of our team. Shout out to AJ Mitchell, bro. I can't talk about him enough. Alex Caruso hits a big three to end the third quarter to give us a 5 point lead heading into the fourth, 85-80. Like I wanted to bring that up because, like I said, back and forth really this whole game. They had opportunities to cut down the lead, to tie it, and then, like I said, Caruso hits that big three going into the fourth. One of those players where, like you said, like a Marcus Smart, right, taking a charge against Wemby or doing these type of plays that it may be his first point or second points of the game, but or second shot that he's made of the game, but just the moments, right? I think that's why you need those type of players like the Josh Harts. You
Energy
you need
guys,
you need
yeah.
those energy guys, people that come off your bench and can play great defense. So wanted to bring that up. Ihart has been balling out as of late. 3 straight games with a double double. Um, just elevating his game, man. Like I said, kind of turning into really like our third scorer as of late. With J Dub being out and obviously AJ Mitchell, but being in that starting lineup, he could kind of set the tone for us. And if he's having one of those games, then it just opens it up for everyone, and he's gonna start doing those. You know, like they fake like they're gonna get the ball and he cuts back door and he's able to drop it down to them. So been balling out, bro. Super super impactful player, and we talked about him, bro. In our offseason file, saying that he might be the odd man out. He might want more money, and we talked about it before we hopped on and hit record on the pod, but he could be one of those players where he could take a pay cut and just want to play with the Thunder for for the next couple years to kind of wrap up his
For
career and just
sure.
kind of
For
solidify
sure.
him in whatever he wants to be in a champion, right? So I think he can be that type of guy. But fourth quarter tied with 8:09 left in 91-91. So it was back and forth, bro. Like I said, and then this is when it kind of gets a little out of hand, bro. I wouldn't say out of hand. It's not like we blew them out, right? But ended up beating them by 14. But at that moment, with 8 minutes left, it was still a very tightly contested game. Triple J misses 2 of 3 free throws after being fouled by J Will with 6:28 left in the fourth quarter. So it ends up the game being 95-92 or 95-92. Yeah, sorry. And then Jaw makes an incredible behind the head pass to Aldama to cut the Thunder lead down to
Oh
5
yeah,
with
yeah.
4:20 left. So it's 99-94. And then
I saw
a,
that.
a Shea big step back jumper over Jalen Wells brings the game to 102-94. And then Shea comes down again and hits another step back three to bring the lead to 11, 105-96. So two back to back possession step back threes from Shea. I saw Chet say, at the time it's like, why are you doing that? And then he's like, oh yeah, I forgot it's Shea. Like this is what he does. So two huge threes. Like I said, to bring to lead to 12 or 11 at that point. And then Shea comes down again, bro. 9 straight points, 9 straight points for Shea. Back to back three, and then ends up getting an and one on the other side as well. So it was a terrible first half for us, but turned it around in the second half, scored 63 points in the second compared to 51 in the first half. And the Thunder ended up winning, bro, 114-110, giving us our 10th win of the season, and also the largest comeback win for us this season, being down by 19 in the second quarter. So, like I said, man, the Grizzlies were balling out, but I
And
think the thing with them that I noticed was it looked like the offense just started to slow down a little bit. They stopped hitting their threes. I feel like that's something when you go against the Thunder, if you're knocking down your threes, that's kind of our Achilles heel this season because we cannot consistently knock down our threes, and that's why we were in such a deficit heading into this game because we only ended up shooting 23% from the three this game. So it's been
yeah,
super streaky. So, that's kind of
for
the
sure.
game plan going against the Thunder, man. If you can outscore us from the 3 point line, then it's gonna be a close
Got
game.
a
But
chance.
it's if you're gonna be able to keep that up for 4 quarters, and I feel like that's the tough thing against our defense that we have because we're gonna put up points regardless of us hitting threes, and then whenever we start to knock them down, it's gonna be hard for other teams to keep up with us. But as of late, the Trailblazers game, even this game as well against the Grizzlies, and even the beginning of the Kings game. You know what I mean? These teams are making their 3 pointers to start the game, but besides the Trailblazers, they've been really the only team that's been able to consistently hit it for a full 4 quarters. But besides that, bro, it's hard to really beat us when you're not able to do that. And I think that's really our only Achilles heel of the season. But once we're able to, I'm not even saying that we're gonna consistently be able to knock them down. It's just more so if we can have spurts of the season where 5 to 10 games where we can just consistently be
Yeah,
a average 3-point shooting team. We don't even
35%. Right.
35, 33. You know what I mean? That's kind of where I want to aim. But no, yeah, man, it's been good hoops. The fact that we had to come back in this game. Yeah, the Grizzlies aren't that great, but they were home and they had their role players stepping up. Cedric Coward has been looking incredible. I brought him up. Santi Aldama has been doing great. And even though Ja didn't have that great game, Triple J had moments, obviously, besides missing those two big free throws, to kind of bring the lead, shrink the lead a little bit. But besides that, man, I think they're just in a weird spot. So many injuries, all the drama with Ja. They still have a good roster. But it's just whenever their guys get healthy, and I think that's kind of where they're at. And they were beating us, bro. They're beating us by 19 points.
Well, they have the 4 unprotected firsts from the Magic. So
Yeah, yeah, that's not. Yeah, that's looking pretty
we'll
good.
talk about that pretty soon too, because that's one of our storylines actually. But yeah, the Thunder are awesome. I think Shea is top 10 in fourth quarter scoring. He's averaging 9.7 points a game in the fourth quarter. At this point, you probably get it. I didn't put it in the outline, but it's a season highlight. First to 10 wins. There's not too much that CJ can really say. I mean, the Thunder are one of those teams you can look at the box and look at they win games. I think the Kings game they shot like 11 of something from deep and ended up still winning. It
That
was like not good. Or was that against the
yeah,
Grizzlies?
that was against the Grizzlies. We shot decent. We
Yeah, the
shot
Grizzlies. Sorry.
13 for
Yeah,
35.
yeah, 13 for 35, whatever. Like you'd see that and be like, oh, what the? But it's the Thunder, man. The
Mhm.
best defense in the league, and again, a top 10 offense. You get, and I said this to CJ, but they haven't been healthy really all year. I think Chet did well against the Grizz, right? He had like 20
Yeah.
points, 21,
Yeah, he
but
did pretty good.
um, he's been in and out. Dort's been in and out. Caruso's been in and out. So like even when guys do play, or like if Chet, I just don't know if they'll play for a week.
Right.
Like I think the
Yeah.
thing, like
Yeah, and
you can't
that's
even bet that he'll be there next week.
I was gonna say, yeah,
So
that's like it's a good thing, right? We're still winning, but it's just, are we going to be able to stay healthy this whole season? That's kind of a worry for me at this point because it's the beginning of the season, but it's not like you said, in and
yeah,
out of lineups. It's kind of it sucks for keeping the momentum, keeping guys in good rotations, and making sure they're in form at certain times of the season. So I just hope this doesn't end up biting us in the
for sure.
butt. But like I said, we're winning still. So it's not like obviously it's making that much of a difference. But if we did have these guys in, these games might the Trailblazers game probably would have been different, and the Grizzlies game might have started a little bit differently. But like you said, I have nothing I can really complain about. It's just nitpicking stuff at this point. But that's one of my worries at this point. Just, can we stay healthy for a full season? Because as of right now, it's not looking like we can, and we don't even know when J Dub is coming
Yeah,
back for sure. So it's one of those things.
100%.
But
That yeah, I see that. So that's one that's like beyond basketball.
right,
So can't really control it, but it does impact the game. And I think you bring up a really good point with that. But you brought up Jaw earlier, so you kind of closed the bow on that storyline. He does look a little bit better. Just reviewing some of our ones from last week. We spoke about Cooper Flag. We talked about the Nets and the Pelicans. They ended up getting their first wins on the season.
they did.
So that is the end of that storyline. They were both over. I think the Nets had a really good game, and then the Pelicans did as well. And the Mavericks. I did want to ask you, man. Does Nico Harrison get fired mid-season?
Man,
I feel like
if you didn't fire him for Luca, I don't think as a yeah, I would say yeah, just because of the performance of the team, but I don't think he will be fired. I don't. If you didn't fire him when everyone was campaigning for it, I don't think you would at this point. Like you might as well stick out with the rebuild, quote unquote.
Yeah, well, Patrick Dumont said in an interview, or like a press I think it was if I'm not mistaken, I think it was media day. It was recently. So
Mm-hmm.
this was like a month ago, couple weeks ago. Um, just said he had full trust in Nico, full disclosure, whatever, whatever. Recently, I think he said that he was going to be reviewing basketball operations, meaning he wants some more power in the decisions that are made. It looks like it's kind of a dumpster fire over there in Dallas. I mean, Kyrie will come back and probably improve the offense. I think that to me is a big storyline, bro, because Cooper Flag doesn't look happy. He said he's lost. This is the most that he's lost,
Mm-hmm.
ever.
Yeah.
And that's true. He didn't really lose in middle school, high school, college.
College.
Like this is very new to him. And so I think Jason Kidd is also another person that is on the hot seat. Jason Kidd has been really instrumental to a lot of players' development, including Giannis Antetokounmpo, Luka Doncic, and now Cooper Flag. But if the results aren't there in terms of the NBA championship, because let's be honest, man, everybody wants to get to where the Thunder are. If you can't win an NBA championship within this window, it's like they're going to try to find somebody who can.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming Jason Kidd is not safe under the Dumont ownership. And yeah, that's a key storyline, bro. I feel like that we'll probably be watching for the rest of the year, just based off of their poor start. I think they're currently 2-7. I forget if they play today. We'll go through the outline and see, but I don't think so. Or they do.
They
They
do,
do,
yeah.
right?
They go against
They
Milwaukee.
go. Milwaukee. Yeah, it's a tough game.
Mm-hmm.
Like that game's not easy, bro. Like I think the American Airlines, I was checking the tickets just to see. They've gone down
Down.
30, 40%, right? Like the get-in price is $20. Just tough sledding for the Mavericks right now. I don't want to ramp on or like be too negative because obviously they're in rebuilding years. I think Anthony Davis being out doesn't help, but what did you expect?
Yeah.
You traded, like we talked about
We
it when
talked
it
about it.
happened, but
Yep.
that's why Rob Pelinka made the deal is because you want the guy who's always hurt for
Mm-hmm.
somebody who isn't really hurt that much. Like Luka gets hurt but he's not injured, weeks and months all the time. Like
Right.
he had 1 year where he got a little bit banged up, and Nico Harrison was like, oh, get rid of him. And I just you got to win on the margin. Another key deal before we get out of this storyline, but like the Quentin Grimes deal, man,
Mm-hmm.
that's where you get killed. I think Najee Marshall is a really good signing for them.
Yeah.
D'Angelo Russell's been an okay signing for them, but like you can't have Cody Martin in the building, right?
No.
He failed the physical. You traded him for somebody who's getting almost 20 a game on pretty good efficiency. That's another massive oversight. So yeah, a couple interesting decisions that I probably wouldn't even make as a GM. I know you may not either.
Mm-hmm.
That's also another thing. If I can point to like Kenny makes YouTube videos, has 2 million subscribers, and like wouldn't make this trade,
Right.
and you did.
Yeah.
Like if you can't really explain that to me, that's a big problem. So that's it with the Mavericks on that. But yeah, those three storylines, man. Pelicans. I think the Nets are able to get their first couple wins, so that's really dope. If you're a fan of them, it's always better when your team's winning. And then Mavericks are kind of in a bit of a rut right now, bro. It's tough. It's tough for Nico Harrison. Dirk Nowitzki said it on Amazon the other night. It's just a disaster.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not looking good,
So
bro. The expectations, wasn't a lot, but they were definitely one of those, oh, they could sneak into the play-in. They could be this team,
and
and like it's not looking like that, bro. Their offense is looking terrible. Their defense isn't looking that much better, and obviously injuries, but yeah, it's disappointing.
they they don't have their future draft. They have the 2026 and then the 2027 from the Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
So they have their pick this year, which is a massive. If any year they should be tanking, like this is the fix. This is what I would do: trading Anthony Davis, and I'm tanking this year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna get a first round pick from a decent team for AD and a player who's less valuable. Fine, but I have my pick. This is the Mavericks, right? I have my pick for 2026. I have the Lakers pick 2027. But 2028 through 2030, they tried to get PJ Washington in the building for a first round pick. They got him there. But it's going to the Hornets, bro. Like, you're not going to get the 2028, 2020. Like, all that stuff is sold. That's
Mm-hmm.
also Nico Harrison, man. He was trying to build around Luca and ended up
Trading
trading
Luca.
away Luca.
Yeah.
So, like, now in 2020, like, later, if they suck, they're just going to suck because
Mm-hmm.
they're going to pay for those picks. And, uh, you know, I think the storylines of the week for this week are we'll finish out with the more positive one. But do you want to talk about your Magic, man, and what's going on over there in Orlando? I mean, my goodness, we spoke about the Desmond Bain trade. That
Man,
the Michael Porter Jr., the Desmond Bain trade, like those trades don't look good, man. They're
they're not.
just not good. It's not good business. It's just let's hear you talk about that, man.
Yeah, man. So y'all know me. I'm a Magic's fan. I like them. I kind of high expectations coming to this season. They're starting off slow right now. They're under delivering now that uh they've started 4-6 in their last 10 games. Despite
Yeah.
boasting a young core of talented players and acquiring Desmond Bain to bolster its shooting and creation, the team continues to struggle offensively with inefficiency and inconsistency. Desmond Bain is currently averaging 14.8 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists per game this season. His worst mark since his rookie and sophomore seasons. And the Magic are scoring 113.9 points per 100 possessions. That ranks 20th in the NBA in offense
Oh my God.
efficiency. Also, the Magic are 21st in the NBA in three-point shooting, 34% on their threes this year, and that was something heading into this
Yeah.
season we thought was going to be an improvement with the addition of Desmond Bain, but it has not been. Um, the real
Yeah.
problem isn't offense, surprisingly, it's their defense. Last year in the 24-25 season, the Orlando Magic ranked second behind only the Thunder with a 109.1 defensive rating. Now in the 25-26 season, after only 10 games, the Magic are 14th in the NBA in defensive rating, allowing 114 points per 100 possessions. Can they turn this around, man?
Yeah.
I think the thing that
Ah,
is for me that sucks is the fact that Desmond Bain has not been the player that we expect him to be, especially them trading their picks, them getting kind of going all in with the roster that they have, and the fact that they just haven't really had Jalen Suggs in the lineup,
that
consistently.
too. That
They
too.
are whenever they have him in the roster, that lineup is a lot better because I think they rely
I
so
agree.
heavily on Paolo and Franz bringing the main initiators, and they can do that, but that's not where they're best utilized to win games. I feel like it gets them tired out. They're dribbling the ball up the court. When you have Jalen Suggs there to kind of initiate the offense and play good defense and I would argue great defense, and you have him in the corner being able to knock down a three. It just opens up your offense because you know what you're going to get out of Franz and Paolo at this point. Paolo, a little inconsistent this season to start off, but he's had moments, he's had games. And Franz, I said it earlier in an earlier podcast we've recorded this year. I think he's probably their best player at this moment in my eyes still, just because of how consistent he's been on the offensive side of the ball. He's kind of their, I would say, not their best scorer, but their most efficient scorer. Because the thing with Paolo is he's taking tough contested, fadeaway mid range shots, and if he's not hitting that, then the offense kind of gets muddy like how it was last season. But Franz is, he's a cutter. He's cutting to the rim. He's kind of creating as well, but. The fact that they haven't had Jalen Suggs, they've had guys stepping up. Anthony Black, Tristan De Silva have been having, pretty good games this season, but it's really the guy that you brought in that isn't stepping up. And I'm gonna be honest, bro. If he doesn't turn around his season, then I think the Magic might be in a worse
God,
spot.
please.
Yeah, might be in a worse spot than they were in last year, sadly, because
Right.
they try to get him. They went all in, traded their first round pick for him, and they don't really have anything else that they could go off of besides their younger guys stepping up. And I'm not doubting that they will, but you're getting Desmond
Bro,
Bain.
can I be honest with you? When I saw that headline, I wasn't like, oh, that's a good idea.
Mhm.
Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I was hoping it would work out, bro. But Man, you just can't give up more than one first round pick for Desmond Bain.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Yeah,
not.
they gave it.
Even when he was making
Was
20,
it 4?
dude, I think it was like
3 or 4?
3 or 4.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, that's
That's
looking at
why
it
there's
now.
such a
It's kind of crazy, but yeah, bro. I hope they do. Trust me.
yeah.
I love the Magic. I like what they got going on. Like I said, Franz, Paolo. The fact that they were going against the Celtics is cool. Obviously, Tatum was out, but seeing what they can be, even in the playoffs last year, I just had such high hopes for them coming into the season, getting Desmond Bain, but he has not performed up to the expectations I was setting for him. So if he cannot turn this season around, then no, they cannot. But I think if he does, if he gets up to the 20, 22 points that, we're kind of accustomed to him getting, then I think it would be a whole different story. But if that doesn't
I think
happen,
he
then no.
will.
But
I
I hope
think
so. I hope
I
so.
have faith that he will. Like I think the Magic are going to be much better in 3 months than they are now.
Yeah.
But it's just it's funny because when we look on back on this, we might laugh at this one, right? Like,
Right. Like,
oh yeah,
oh,
we thought the Magic would suck. Yeah, but they may be good. They just haven't figured it out yet. It's the first year with their team.
mm,
Things take time. Another thing is like,
yes,
bro, Jonathan Isaacs is zero.
he is
Doesn't play.
at all.
So you got to get, like you said Anthony Black and Tristan De Silva, like those cats play. That's why, we talk about the defensive issues. You brought it up at the end, but like, yeah, we were hoping for a little bit more from Isaac.
Hmm.
Obviously more from Bain, but I think Paolo and Franz, they got a tough task, and hopefully they can clean it up. I think they're 1-3 over the last four, so we'll see if the Magic can continue down. But uh, let's go over to the Palace of Auburn Hills. Detroit, bro. They are first in the East right now with the best win-loss record there. They got a record of 6-2 over their last 3 games. Man, the Pistons have had the sixth best net rating in the NBA, plus 10.8. We've spoke about the Pistons too. I know they're another one of your like mini Eastern Conference teams. They're real good, bro.
Hmm.
Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren. I say this, but the Thompson twin that's never talked about, right?
Right.
The SAR. Just their defense is something that's been so stingy lately, and it makes it really tough on teams. And then Cade, bro, I think Cade had a pretty bad first half performance the other night. Ended up finishing with that dunk over Andre Drummond versus the Sixers. Had like 22 points in the second half, and he's really led the way for them offensively, bro. I think he's getting 25 points a game right now with 10 assists. Jalen Duren is also averaging a double right now, like 19.6 points per game and 11 rebounds. So those two, man. The question was Jalen Duren going to be an impactful player, being so young and coming from Memphis and doing all that, and only one and done. Yes, bro. I mean,
Hmm.
he's a damn hooper. He's athletic. He's one of the most athletic players we have in the NBA. I don't think he needs to get a 3-point shot, honestly. If he can work on his touch a little more, just from the mid range,
Yeah.
I think he's a dangerous player. Like he's already getting 20 on
Already.
10 with no 3-point shot.
Hmm.
If he wants to add it, great. But I think if he just gets a better touch around the rim, his game is going to exponentially increase, right? Defensively, like I mentioned, that's where the Pistons have shined, bro. I think in the 24-25 season, they're only giving up 109 points per 100 possessions. That was good for third in the NBA, and honestly, the Pistons have been one of the more gritty teams over the last few seasons because you got to mind you, this is a team that had like not even 8 wins 2 years ago in
Hmm.
January.
Yep.
Like they were a laughing stock in the NBA, and they've completely flipped it around. And I think they're 8-2 right now. So they've been doing really good. That's a team that I feel like if you're a fan of Detroit and you get a chance to go to, what is it, Xfinity Mobile now? Yeah,
Hmm.
Xfinity Mobile Arena, bro. It's rocking. We know it's people. The vibes are high. We know Jalen Duren's special. We know Cade Cunningham's special. I'm excited to see what they can do this week. I feel like I'm looking at a Cade Cunningham player of the week, maybe.
Yeah.
Pistons end up going on I think they're on a little win streak right now, bro.
Hmm.
They increased their win total by over 30 games last year, man. That hasn't happened, I think, since the ABA NBA merger. So it's like
Yeah.
yeah, they're doing
It's
stuff that
so yeah,
like
it's
you
crazy.
just don't, yeah, bro. And that's even with Malik Beasley. I think Duncan Robinson's been okay. He hasn't been the greatest,
Yeah.
especially for the contract, right? You'd expect a little more from him, but yeah, even with this cloud hanging over you with the Malik Beasley thing, and can the Pistons contend, bro? I think they are a top 5 to 6 team in the NBA right now, and that means they have a chance for a title. I think they're better than the Knicks are. If you toss the ball up 7 times in a row, bro, give me the Pistons versus the Knicks right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm taking the Pistons. So
Yeah. No, yeah, bro. What they've been able to do, I mean, we talked about it, bro. Just the win total jump from this past year, what Cade was able to do at the end of the year to kind of wrap up his all NBA season, what he's been able to do this year, at the start of it. And man, what he's able to do in the fourth quarter, bro, it just impresses me so much. Like we know the type of player that he is, but he's doing it on a consistent basis on the Detroit Pistons, who were not good 2 seasons ago. So I can't praise him high enough, bro. He's one of definitely the tone setter in the city, and what he's
exactly.
been able to do, just
You want to get them
rebuilding,
going.
and he never gave up on the team. You know what I mean? I feel like that is a huge thing that I feel like I brought it up as well. Just the whole Jaws situation. They're not doing good right now. He's kind of you know uh unengaged in the game and what he's been able to do. Like uh Cade has not done that, bro. And the fact that he's been
Yeah,
able to be the engine to their offense, motorcade and is in the city, bro. He's showing us, and I think heading into the season, that was kind of what I was saying too. This is gonna, yeah, last year was his like, introduction to the league if you didn't know about it, and this is his like his party, his coming home
he's
party. Like
here.
he's here, he's arrived already. I think he's been proving that to us, and bro, I mean, if they keep this up, yeah, like you said, at this moment, I think they're better than the Knicks as well. In a 7-game series, I think I said it last year. I thought they were, gonna push it to 7, against the Knicks last year. So if I was thinking that,
Well, Brunson in the playoffs,
it's a little different. It's a little different, but I definitely said that
because you
last year
know,
too. But
yeah, facts.
at this moment, though, yeah, the Pistons are looking really good, bro. They're looking like, obviously they're in the top of the East right now. So I think that kind of speaks for itself. But, this is a great opportunity for them too. So they have that window, right, that we always talk about for a championship. It's wide open for them at this point. So I think they're in a good spot. And Cade is leading the charge with Jalen Durham, bro. He's been incredible. So cannot complain about the Pistons being one of our
Yes,
storylines for this
sir.
week.
I like that, man. I think I got a little question for you. After 10 games, man, can you give me a list of 5 players that you think could make All NBA this year? I want to hear it.
Yeah, for sure, bro. Yeah, I had to write it down so I didn't forget. Obviously, number one player for me, SGA. He's got to be up there.
Uh,
Second, Giannis. He's been leading the Bucks to carrying the team on the back, getting the game winners. Obviously got blown out the next game, but that the team and the team success is on Giannis' shoulder. He's been being able to carry
been
the
doing his
weight of
thing.
that. Next one, Luka, bro. What he's been able to do, going crazy, 40 points, whatever it was. What that he was averaging for the games that he's played. Obviously, he's missed a couple times, but just the stats alone, and the team has been winning. So I got to put him on there. Next one, Tyrese Maxey, bro. He's one of my players that has
Oh
not
my,
been an All NBA player, but what he's been able to do for the 76ers, bro, him and VJ just has been incredible. He's been the engine. I think this start of the season alone has showed us that he's probably going to be the player that the Sixers are building around, and just what he's been able to do, bro. It's been incredible. And then lastly, another player that hasn't been on an All NBA team. Gotta put Wemby on here, bro. What he's been able to do. Obviously, he had a stinker a couple nights ago. He's been in a lot of foul trouble. Think it's just whenever teams playing physical, but whenever he's on, bro, he's hands down one of the top 5 players in this league. So I gotta put Wemby on here as well.
okay. Okay, well, you know what? I think I have a list as well. Mine is a bit different from yours, but thinking about the 3 teams, man, because we know Luca, SGA, Giannis, those dudes first team if they're healthy, no doubt.
For sure.
I think I think Josh Giddey. I mean, give me third team All NBA, especially if the Bulls can compete. That's another thing, bro. Can the Bulls win? Oh, is Josh Giddey a winning basketball player? It seems like it.
Yeah.
23, 9 and 9 on good efficiency. Seems like that'll contribute to winning a lot. So I got him first on my list. And Julius Randle, bro. I mean, you took him in your dynasty. You've seen the production without Anthony Edwards. And even with Ant back now, he's still getting 25, 7 and 6. I think he's averaging a career high in points and assists and field goal percentage.
Hmm.
Very interesting tidbit there. So watch out for Julius Randle. That's somebody that can make an All NBA team.
Hmm.
And then, of course, bro, Tyrese Maxey, you already said it. I mean, what do they say, VJ Max or something?
VJ
I don't
Max.
know,
Yeah,
bro.
that's
But
what it was. VJ
yeah, I think
Max.
that's what you were
That's
trying
what
to
I was
say
trying
a
to remember,
while
bro.
ago.
Yes, bro.
And I think they just yeah, I think
VJ
it's the
Max.
TJ Maxx,
Yep.
VJ Max.
Yep.
That's what it is.
Yep.
But
Yep. Yep.
whatever it is, dude, it's special and it's probably the best backcourt duo in this league, man. I
Hmm.
mean, just to be honest with you guys, Maxi's getting 36 points a game on good efficiency. It's hard not to put him there, right? Next guy up is one of mine, though. LA Lakers, it's not Luka Doncic, it's Austin Reeves. I mean,
Mm.
if he makes the games requirement, he might make an All NBA third team. I wouldn't be surprised if he snuck his way in. I mean, as of now, the numbers are a little ballooned. I think he's getting 30 and 10, but they'll come down. But if they're at 24 and 10,
That's
that's an
still
All NBA
all.
player right
Hmm.
there. Especially, yeah, I was going to say, and that type of efficiency. So shout out AR-15. And last guy, last but not least, you had Wemby. I'm gonna take Şengün. Where's the love for Alperen Şengün, man? I mean, he's been absolutely killing. Kevin Durant said that he's one of the more dangerous players that is in this league, and we saw what he did to Giannis the other day. You
Hmm.
know, Giannis is hounding him up and down, picking him up full court, which I really like and I appreciate, by the way.
Hmm.
Hits him with it behind the back, spin move, little Euro slow because he's from Europe, a little Turkey ace,
Yeah.
that European Euro step. And he finished, man, the and one and
Yeah.
that mean mug. Yeah, I like that, bro. I like Alp. So those are my five. I feel like those guys could definitely be spread out throughout the three NBA teams, all NBA teams. So
Yeah. No, great choice. I
yes,
like
sir.
that. I like the way. Yep.
Yeah,
Hmm.
you rocking with my list?
Yeah, bro. I think the way
I
all
appreciate
those
it.
players have been playing, yeah, they deserve to be
They,
involved.
they, they lights out.
Hmm.
Yeah, bro. But you ready to talk about these games, man? It's a little later. It's 8 p.m. But my guys already had went, so I'm gonna pull that up as soon as we get out of here. But ready to chop it up about the slate. It's a pretty good one. I'm not gonna hate on the Monday slates anymore. Me and CJ been getting kicked in the nuts with that, man. So
Facts.
we're done. They're done with that. But I got you, my man.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Lakers and Hornets first game, man. It was at 6 p.m. Eastern. I mean, the injury report for the us has been it's up and down. Right now, it's a little cleaner. We're only out LeBron. I think D'Lo still hasn't made his debut, and that's another thing, bro. I'm excited to see what he can do. In 2K, he's pretty good on defense, so I'm sure he'll come in and be a high energy guy, but still hasn't made a season debut. And then Gabe Vincent's also out the hamstring. The Hornets are without LaMelo Ball, Green, Josh Green, who's I don't think he's played yet.
I would say I don't think so. I haven't seen him.
Yeah, I don't think he's played yet either. So he's yet to make his debut. Brandon Miller and then Grant Williams. So Brandon Miller is the other one who, having LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller out. I mean, let's just get into it. That's one of the storylines. What does the Hornets offense look like? Colin Sexton, right? I think we spoke about him before we got on the pod, but he's been really good for them. Ryan Kalkbrenner's top 5 in field goal percentage. Another underrated big man in this league who's a really good defensive presence. But on the offensive end, he gives you that rim threat, that lob threat, and he's been scoring really consistently. And I want to show some love to Miles Bridges. I was hating on him a little bit, but I think this is a game where he can take advantage of those two high usage guys, and Brandon Miller and LaMelo Ball being out, and really showcase what he can do. So I did want to touch on that. Let's just see what the Hornets can do offensively, and then Con Knuppel, man. I mean, Rookie of the Year case. He's hit, I think, over 35 threes in the first 10 games of the season, which is obviously an NBA record for rookies. He's on pace for 275 three-pointers made this season, which would obliterate Keegan Murray's rookie three-point shooting record, but I think by over 50 threes. If I'm not mistaken, it's like 223. So he would obliterate it by over 50. So kind of gives you the perspective on how he's shooting the rock. I wouldn't be shocked if they put him in the three-point contest, man, like off rip, just because he's kind of that. He's got some juice. He's one of those cold white boys. So seeing what Con Knuppel can do against the Lakers tonight will be interesting, just given that he's in a little bit more of an expanded role. And then I brought this up in the Lakers analysis, but our defensive issues were really a problem against the Hawks. So can we clean those up? I was watching the game. I'm going to be honest with you guys. We were down in the second quarter. Like, we were losing to the Hornets. I think last time I saw it, giving up 60 points to them in 2 quarters.
With
So
no
like those
LaMelo
defensive
and
issues,
Brandon
bro.
Miller, yeah.
Yeah, bro. Like it's not. I had to turn it off actually because I think I'm gonna sit down and pray that we're able to get a W. But yeah, it was not looking good, and trying to watch it a little bit before the pod. But yeah, we have not looked good on the defensive end. I don't know what it is. Like I brought it up, the connectivity doesn't look pristine, and I think that's I spoke about it, but we have to lead with defense first if we're gonna win a title this year. Because if we don't have a top 15 defense, we're cooked. We're cooked. Our offense is obviously a juggernaut style, but I just feel like we need to be more defensive focused for this one. And then, yeah, I think this is an interesting question, but did the Austin Reeves injury hurt the Lakers more than the LeBron one?
Ooh.
I think that's a storyline to watch out for now that Reeves is back in the lineup. But it is an interesting question to ask just based off of Reeves's production. And I love LeBron. He still has no timetable. I think he was recently cleared. We haven't spoken about him a ton, but he was recently cleared for practice. I think Sean's reported that a couple days ago, but I've seen him on the bench. He's been more supportive, but I haven't seen him out there yet. So really don't know when he's planning on making his season debut. I don't know if it's coming in mid-November because we're already there. By the end of this week, it'll be mid-November. So a little concerned with that, but it is an interesting question. I think it's something you have to watch out for. How does Austin Reeves being in the lineup impact Ayton and Luka, clearing up the way for a bunch of other guys so they can get their shot off? Hachimura, Laravia. I think when Reeves is in the lineup, our offense just plays way better. So something to watch out for in that game. That one was at 6 p.m. It's probably ending up wrapping up right now. Going out east, we just wrapped up talking about the Lakers, but we had the Wizards and Pistons matchup. This one was at 6 p.m. The Wizards will be without Koulibaly, and the Pistons are missing Tobias Harris, Jaden Ivey, Marcus Sasser, and Isaiah Stewart. I think I want to say the Thompson twin is questionable, and Karis LeVert are also listed as questionable. I don't know if they ended up going. I'll look at it in a second, but hopefully they ended up playing. Storylines for this one, bro. Pistons 5-game win streak for real? We talked about them for a second, but Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren, and company, they look very, very solid this year, more solid than they've ever looked in the last decade, I would say. And like I said, man, I think they're true contenders. I think they're defensive, right? I said the 24-25 season. I misspoke earlier. The 25-26 season, they're third in the NBA in defensive net rating. Yeah, not last year.
I was like, whoa, last year they were? I was like, what the heck?
No, not last year. But point is like they're here, bro. Like they're not on the come up, like whatever that means. I think that's kind of the point I'm trying to drive home is they're for real. And I think they're on the now they have the highest win streak in the league actually since the Thunder did lose to the Blazers. So they are, the best team in the East, and you want to show some respect to that. And then just Jalen Duren continues sophomore leap. I feel like again, we spoke about this, but a lot of people didn't necessarily believe in his skill set and it's how it's not for the modern NBA. And I think playing with a player like Cade Cunningham just gives you more options. And so Jalen Duren is in that conversation, and going up against Alex Sarr, defensive stalwart, it'll be interesting to see that little battle. I think Alex Sarr versus Jalen Duren could be really interesting. We'll see if Jalen Duren can impose his strength. He's a little bit stronger than Sarr, so I'm expecting a double-double in this one. But storyline for the Wizards, bro, is it panic time for them? They've won a game. I think they're on a losing streak right now. I think they're 1-9 this season. I'm not expecting them to go on a 40-game win streak or anything, but it would be nice to see them get a couple wins. I know they don't want to win. We're not going to put it as a storyline every single time, but it is interesting. Like they have Keyshawn George, they have Trey Johnson, they got Alex Sarr, they have Koulibaly, like they have all these players that can win. It's just, do they want to? Are they going to play with effort? Bottom third in the league in defense. I think they're 28th in defensive net rating. It's hard to win a lot of games like that. And then, yeah, can the Wizards play Trey Johnson more? I think he's getting 25 minutes a night. Obviously, it's hard to play him in a blowout situation, but I think he's going to be on first team all rookie, and I think he's probably their most polished scorer on the roster already. Like he's probably the most polished scorer, so it would be nice to see him get 30 minutes a night. I feel like what the Wizards are doing over there, they're kind of selling, but not really, and it's It's frustrating, man. They're not putting out the best product on a night to night basis, but we've spoken about it and where they are as a team, and so it's not a shock. But I think, can they improve their defense? Can Trey Johnson get in the game a little bit more? We'll see if they can beat the best team in the East. I doubt it, but we'll see.
We'll see, man. And then another 6 o'clock tip off. We got the Trailblazers versus Magic. The Trailblazers are missing Scoot Henderson, Matisse Thybulle, and Blake Wesley, and the Magic will be without Suggs and Mo Wagner. Some key storylines. We talked about it. It's our storyline of the week that we're going to be keeping up with. What is going on with the Orlando Magic? They're 113.9 offensive rating. That's 20th in the NBA, and 114th defensive rating, which is 14th in the NBA. Minus zero point 0.2 net rating for them. We talked about it, man. Inconsistency with the roster. Desmond Bane not performing up to what we expected him to be this year. I think they fix it. I just think it's going to be pretty tough against the Trailblazers. They're also a pretty good defensive team, and not the recipe for success going into going against the Trailblazers, who are playing pretty well, play pretty good defense, and your offense isn't doing that well. So we'll see how it goes. I think this might be one of the better games of the night. But on the Trailblazer side, Danny Avdija All-Star year. Last 3 games, he's been averaging 39 and 6. I have him on my dynasty team, so that would be ideal. He's been putting up the numbers for me, and he's been going crazy. I think if he continues this and that the Trailblazers keep winning the amount of games they have been, I think, he's definitely going to be in the conversation for the Trailblazers. And is Drew Holiday on an all defensive team this year? I brought him up when we were talking about the little recap from that Trailblazers Thunder game. What he's been able to do offensively has been pretty impressive, but Drew Holiday defensively is still one of the better perimeter defenders that we have in this league. And I think if he keeps this up, kind of not leading the charge because they got Tumani Kamara there, but their defense that they have just in general as a team, as a whole unit, has been incredible. So, he's definitely, one of the main guys leading the pack for that team. So he could definitely make it into that all defensive team this year. And the 6:30 tip off, staying in the East Coast this time, we got the Cavs versus the Heat. The Cavs will be missing Max Strus, and Larry Nance is listed as questionable. And the Heat are without Bam, Tyler Herro, and Terry Rozier, obviously. Some key storylines. Heat new big three without Herro. Norman Powell, obviously Bam Adebayo's out, but Jaime Jaquez Jr. as well. They're Norman Powell averaging 23, Bam's averaging 19, and Jaime's averaging 17, and that's 60 points between 3 guys. So without, probably your best offensive player, you still got a little trio over there that's been able to score a lot of points.
Yeah.
I gotta say that probably the offense too. Like I said, whenever he gets there, Tyler Herro gets back, I think he's gonna be a huge contributor. A main beneficiary of their offense, but in his absence, they've still been able to score a lot of points. So that's something that we have not really been able to say about the Heat over the past couple of seasons. So, they got a new big three without Herro? And Nikola Jovic breakout season. He just recently had his career high against the Portland Trailblazers at 29. And
Mine too.
what he's been able to do there, bro, I feel like he's been one of those like low key players that the Heat, they're always able to draft, right? Like kind of goes not unnoticed, but mid first round pick, develops into a pretty good NBA player. And Nikola Jovic has always had some games in a season. It's not like he doesn't do anything for a whole season. He has these moments. So can he keep that up? Can he have his breakout season finally? And then on the Cavaliers side, can Donovan Mitchell and the Cavs continue to stay hot? Donovan Mitchell is currently averaging 30.7 points per game and 5.1 assists on 31% usage rate. And the Cavs are currently 8 in net rating with a plus 4.9, so 4.9, sorry. But what Donovan Mitchell has been able to do, bro, on a night in night basis with DG being kind of in and out of the lineup, I think it just kind of goes to show the type of player that he is, bro. I mean, it's kind of expected at this point. expectations for the Cavs were to be, top 2 in the East, and they haven't been able to do that as of late. But Donovan Mitchell has definitely been able to provide a spark of offense that we're accustomed to at this point. So, can he keep it going against this, no pun intended, this hot team that has been on the offensive side of the ball? But that's another matchup that I think is going to be a pretty good one between the Cavs and the Heat.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to rewatch that one. That's my game of the night. I
Yeah.
think that they're very, very similar teams. Heat are the fastest team in the NBA. I think the over under was 248.
Mm-hmm.
Just a banger. Just a banger.
Yep.
Moving on to the 7 o'clock slate though, Spurs versus Bulls. Man, this one's at 7 p.m. Like I said, but Spurs are gonna be missing Dylan Harper. I think Luke Cornett was also listed as questionable. I don't know if he ended up going because it's been an hour now, but we'll see. Chicago is going to be missing Josh Giddey with that ankle injury, which actually happened on that ankle breaker from DeAndre Hunter. I know this is for the clip. But DeAndre Hunter crossed them so bad, man. And he popped up on the injury report because of that. So
Yeah.
Josh Giddey on the injury report, Collins, and then also Kobe White, who's yet to make his debut just yet. You have Kobe White on your dynasty team, so I know you're excited for whenever he comes back.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Williams is also listed as probable. Hopefully he ended up going. But some key storylines for the Spurs, man. De'Aaron Fox is back in the lineup. So what does the Spurs look like on offense now that he's back? I feel like, Wemby's going to get a lot more space. Castle's going to be relieved of his initiating duties, which is a good and bad thing. I think he was learning some important things while De'Aaron Fox was out, while Dylan Harper was out. But now that he's back in that lineup, I think it's going to change the chess pieces a little bit. And we talked about the Spurs' depth at guard. Now they have a logjam. Do they, though? Because injuries happen all the time.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure that you're deep at that type of position. So, I think I've rethought that statement a little bit. I don't necessarily even know if it's a logjam. I think they can have Dylan Harper, Stephon Castle, and De'Aaron Fox on the same team and be fine. And then we'll see what they look like when all three of those guys come back. But as of right now, just with the injuries, it seems like it's actually playing in their favor.
Mm-hmm.
Now De'Aaron Fox comes back. He looks really good, by the way. Looks completely healthy. They waited an extra 2 weeks probably just to ramp him back up. And yeah, just seeing what he looks like back in the lineup is going to be interesting, especially at the United Center. And then, the Bulls and the Spurs, top 10 teams in the NBA right now, bro. This is another game of the night, you could say, right? Mm-hmm. The Bulls have been getting more love recently, being one of the top teams in the East, and also the Spurs are one of the up-and-coming teams in the West. And both of them have kind of, I would say outdone themselves through the first 10 games of the season, definitely exceeded our expectations, which is something to watch out for in general. Just a competitive game, very intense. The Bulls did drop with their net rating. I think they only have a 0.7 net rating now, but that's after they took a pretty decent loss to the Cavs when they should have won, but they ended up losing that game, and tough loss. But anyways, just two competitive teams, definitely another storyline to watch out for. And then this is something probably people didn't know, but just can Victor Wembanyama get it going at the United Center? I think he's averaging only 17 points on the road there, which is interesting. But it's one of his lower, points per game, team versus points per game versus teams that he has in his career. I don't think a ton of teams can slow down Wemby, but the Bulls seem to be his kryptonite a little bit, which is interesting. So we'll have to watch out for that. I think De'Aaron Fox being in the lineup really helps Wembanyama, right? Even against the Lakers, he didn't have Fox. But now going into this one, he will. So we'll have to see, man. A couple interesting storylines. Giddey is out for this one, which makes the game a little bit less competitive, but still going to be a great game. Going on to the 7:30 game, this is the Bucks versus the Mavericks. The Bucks are going to be missing Kevin Porter Jr. and Taurean Prince, and Giannis was listed as probable, so hopefully he ended up going. And then the Mavericks are going to be without Dante Exum, Kyrie Irving, and Derek Lively. Anthony Davis and Gafford are listed as questionable. Maybe they ended up playing. We know Anthony Davis has been hurt the last few games, but hopefully he's back in the lineup. But some key storylines, man. We spoke about the Mavericks a little bit. Is Nico Harrison on the hot seat? The Mavericks don't improve offensively. This 2-7 start is not looking pretty. We know Cooper Flagg is pretty frustrated right now, how things are going. We heard Dirk Nowitzki's comments as well about how it's been a disaster. I think he's on the hot seat. I think everybody, Jason Kidd, Harrison, Dumont, it's maybe not Dumont, he is the owner, but pretty much everybody else, like their jobs are at jeopardy here, just based off the fact that there's no patience for losing. And I think if the Mavericks are, 5-15, it's going to call for some staff changes in that locker room. So we'll have to see. And then if Davis goes, bro, does that really help their offense? I feel like they've still struggled on offense while he's been in the lineup. I don't know if he's the problem. I feel like it's more of a Kyrie Irving thing. And forcing Cooper Flag to be your point guard has not necessarily led up to, it's not culminated to the best offensive statistics, right? So we have to watch for that. I feel like the Bucks are a pretty good defensive team, but even Giannis, going over to the Bucks side, Giannis, continuing to put up MVP numbers. I think right now he's averaging 33 points a game, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists on like 63% shooting. Do the Mavericks have anybody to slow him down? Probably not. So we'll see if Giannis continues his MVP case, and those stats speak for itself, man. I don't have to talk about that much. But this next one, man, can Ryan Rollins, build his most improved player case? I think this dude was on the Warriors, ended up getting bounced around their G League team, got in trouble for shoplifting, I think, a couple years back, but he's found a home in Milwaukee. And because they have a pretty thin roster, this wasn't even somebody we talked about at all in their offseason file. He's actually averaged, 17 points a game, 6 assists on 52% shooting. So can he continue to build his most improved player case? I know he was one of the ultimate dynasty finds this year, and looks to be like somebody that is going to play for the Bucks and be in this role for the next few seasons. So if he can continue to get it going, don't be shocked to see his name in some most improved player conversations.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Going on to the 8 o'clock tip off. These games just tipped off 13 minutes ago. We got the Pels versus Suns. The Pelicans are without Jordan Poole, DeJounte Murray, and Zion Williamson. And the Suns will be missing Jalen Green, and Royce O'Neal is listed as probable. Some key storylines from this game. On the Suns side, Jalen Green re-aggravated his hamstring after a great debut. Who steps up in his absence? Obviously we know this is the Devin Booker show as of late, but him re-aggravating that injury, it's very worrisome for them, bro. Because like we just said, that great debut, that he came back and then ends up getting injured again. Kind of sucks to see, because this is one of your guys that you're expecting to see on your for your future, your roster. So who's going to be able to step up? I would always say it's always like the Grayson Allens, the Royce O'Neal type of player, or Colin Gillespie, like those type of players. Being able to knock down the threes. I think that's really the only way for the Suns to get it going. Maybe Mark Williams as well. He's been having a pretty
Dylan
good
Brooks.
season. Dylan
Yeah,
Brooks.
Mark
Oh yeah,
Williams.
Dylan Brooks is back too. So it's going to be one of those guys that are going to have to step up. Obviously, we know this is D
Yeah.
Book's team, so he's going to do what he can, but he's going to have some of these guys knock down their shots. Going on to the next storyline of the game. Pelicans and Suns are among bottom third in the league in net rating. Pelicans are at 28 in the NBA at minus 12.1, and the Suns are at 20th in the NBA at minus 0.5. So this is one of those. It might be a stinker of a game on paper, but they go out there and watch this be one of the better games of the night. It ends on a game winner or something. Like you said, we've been kind of talking down on these Monday night slates, but last Monday was great, and this is one of those games that we kind of overlooked in prior weeks. So this
Yeah,
might be one
exactly.
of the better games, even though that
Underrated.
but both of these teams are on the bottom third of net rating in the league. But sticking with the Suns, man, can Devin Booker stay hot? He's currently averaging 34 points and 8.7 assists over the last 3 games. I just said it. I think if anyone is going to have a good game, it's probably going to be Devin Booker this whole season for the Suns. So if he could keep it
Facts.
up,
Good bet.
Suns have been doing decent over these last 3 games
Decent.
with the Devin Booker, kind of being that guy again. So, those are the storylines for the 8 o'clock tip off. Going on to the next one, we got the T-Wolves versus Jazz. The Timberwolves are without Terrence Shannon, and the Jazz are
Yeah.
missing Georgius Niang, and Taylor Hendricks and Kyle Anderson are listed as questionable. Some
And
key
Walker
storyline.
Kessler, OFS.
Walker Kessler, of course,
Yeah.
yes, out for the season with that torn labrum. Sucks, man.
Uh-huh.
Some key storylines. Can the Timberwolves continue their hot start on offense? They are currently 120.3 offensive rating. That's fourth in the NBA. Be that being said, Julius Randle has been having, his, like you just said, his best scoring and efficiency and assists per game averages this season so far. So is he having an
Mhm.
all NBA season loading? You brought him up. It was in on your players that you think that are going to make one as of late. I think he can, man. He's currently averaging 25.2 point per game, 7.1 rebounds, and 6.1 assists on 54.9% shooting. Career highs in
Golly.
points, percentages, and assists. I just brought that up. But if he could keep this up, yeah, man. I mean, I think what he was able to show us in the playoffs and the beginning of the season, just kind of piggybacking off of that, the run that they went on, if he keeps this up, yeah, man, the way he's been playing, even in Ant's absence, he's been the offense
He's
essentially
awesome.
for the Timberwolves. He's looking fantastic and looking like one of my better dynasty draft picks. So I can't complain about that. And then on the Jazz's side of the storylines for this game, can Ace Bailey continue his uptrend? He has
Mm.
12 points at Minnesota. So, I think that's something to look out for.
Yeah, he did well. He did well versus them.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think that is that his highest scoring game in the
It
league.
is. Yeah, I think that was his best game. I think that's why I put it in there.
Right. So that's
Because
why I
when
was when you're doing it. Yeah. So obviously, he's their first round draft pick, sixth pick, whatever it was, and think he's been super inconsistent, which we expected, but if we could just see the consistency get a little bit better, I think it's just his shot isn't knocking down right now. I feel like with him,
yeah,
that's
he's
and
very
you're
efficient.
it sucks to say it, but you're kind of living with that at this point. The Jazz aren't trying to win games and they're trying to develop their guys, so they're gonna have to live with him, shooting a pretty inefficient percentage. But when he's your youngest key, one of your key pieces that you're gonna try to build around, you have to kind of see how he turns out. So can his continue to uptrend for his trajectory of this season? We shall see, ladies and gentlemen.
We shall. We shall. I like this. And then last game, of course, brother. This one's a 9:30. It's tough to watch this one. Hopefully, we might be able to catch a little bit. But it's Hawks Clippers, man. Hawks are going to be without Trae Young. We spoke about it. He's been out since the Lakers game, and I don't know
When is
exactly his injury,
yeah?
but
I was about
I'm not
yeah.
sure. Yeah, you got me with that
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Hawks without Trae Young, Nikola Duricic, Jalen Johnson, and Nikhil Alexander Walker are also listed as questionable. So we'll see if they go. The Clippers have listed Beal, Miller, and Leonard as questionable. So we'll see if those three dudes end up going. Kawhi Leonard did recently get hurt, so that's a storyline for the Clippers. And what's going on with them, man? They're 23rd in the NBA net rating with a minus 5.6. They are one of the older teams in uh, the league, and we've spoken about how that could become a problem. I think they're also turning the ball over at an extremely high rate this year, and they're also on a 3-game losing streak. So can they clean it up? We know the Hawks had a really good win. They beat, I would say they had a similar momentum win like we did when we played the Blazers, right? We had nobody in the lineup. We ended up getting that W. Like the Hawks, nobody in the lineup ended up being the Lakers. So I think there is some momentum that can carry over from that. But yeah, can the Clippers get it going, bro? I feel like they were one of the teams that we were talking very highly of in the West. And as of right now, they're not really a playoff team.
Hmm.
And I wouldn't put them as a top 5 seed in the West or anything like that. They're not threatening anybody. So we'll have to see if they can clean it up. And then, yeah, can the Clippers offense survive without Kawhi Leonard and Bradley Beal, man? I mean, I would say Bradley Beal's a 0 right now. And you weren't expecting that. And you were probably expecting, at least 10 points a game. You're not even getting that. I think you're getting 5 or 6 points a game on 22 minutes. And obviously, Kawhi Leonard's been nails. I think he's almost 50, 40, 90 on really good efficiency, obviously getting 25 a game as well and 7 rebounds and yada, yada, yada. The Kawhi Leonard. But when he's not in the lineup, this team they rely so much on James Harden and Ivica Zubac to get it done for them. So what do they look like offensively in this one without potentially Leonard in the lineup and Beal? And then obviously, can they clean it up on the defensive side of the ball and their turnovers, bro? Because I think that's what's hurting their net rating. And that 3-game losing streak doesn't look too good. But moving on to the Hawks side, man. Like I said, can the Hawks continue their momentum without Trae Young? It's interesting, but they've put up, I think, 122 points last game versus us. We'll see how many they score versus the Clips, but they look to be like they're playing better offensively with no Trae Young.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
it doesn't make
crazy.
a ton of sense,
Hmm.
but can they continue their momentum without Trae Young in the lineup? I think it speaks to their depth and what they've done over this offseason. We spoke about it in their offseason files. They want to shout out Zachary Richeche. He had a really good game against the Lakers, but he's one of the, people say that that was one of the worst drafts, and it definitely was, but I think he's going to end up being the best player out of the draft. So it doesn't say too much. He was the number one pick. It's not like anything's too crazy, but just seeing their momentum build without Trae Young has been interesting to watch for, bro. And Chris Stapps, and without Jalen Johnson, right? Like those guys have been hurt for a couple games, and then yeah, bro. The Hawks top 10, or I think last year they were not even top 15. This season they're now top 12 in defense. So can they continue that? They only gave up 102 points to us, and we were one of the hotter offensive teams in the NBA. So I think those two factors, man, their offense is humming and their defense is top 12 in the NBA right now. So the Atlanta Hawks, bro, they look like they're gonna make the turn. They were one of the more disappointing teams in the first 5 games, but over the last 3 games, they've been way better. So I know Hawks fans are excited about that. But
Hmm.
that wraps up the slate, CJ.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we're able to watch some of these games. Probably check out the Hornets and Lakers one, and then catch some of the Heat Cavs. That'll probably be my two. But which one's your favorite?
Probably the, like you say, Heat Cavs for sure. But I also am kind
Yeah.
of interested with that Trailblazers Magic as well.
Mm,
But just
okay.
because just want to see if the Magic,
Your
bro, they can
squad,
they can
yeah,
figure it out, bro. But
100%.
Trey Young sprained his MCL in his right knee, and he will be reevaluated in 4 weeks. That was 9 days ago, so he's still gonna be out
Yeah,
for 3 weeks
a little
still.
minute.
Hmm.
All right. Yeah, no. Well, I think that's it for me over here. I think we can chop it up about the dynasty for a second.
Yeah,
I ended up losing, bro. So I mean,
1 and 2 on the
I don't have the
season.
report in front of me.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
got
do you
you.
have the report?
Yeah,
Or?
yeah, I got you. I got you. I'll look at it real quick. You do the highest scoring picks, right? That's the one what you did. So we had Luca get 95 points. Donovan Mitchell got a 70 point game. Trey Murphy had 61. Kawhi Leonard had 61. And Jokic, who ZD has, also had 93. Um, I ended up getting a dub. I'm 3-0 this season. Ended up beating EJ this past week. He actually had Trey Murphy on his roster, so he had one of the highest scorer. I actually had none. No, Shea hasn't been. He's been getting good numbers. He just hasn't been playing the whole game, so it's kind of inconsistent with his fantasy
Yeah,
score. At
it
certain
hurts you a
points,
little bit
hurts me a
as the
little bit.
Thunder.
But yeah, let's see. I was 3 for the max amount of points. I could have gotten 505. I ended up getting 450, so that's an 89%. ZD had a 91.9. I feel like you're always really good on that. You get
Efficiency. Yeah,
yeah, the
I'll be
efficiency.
efficient.
You'll be efficient. But yeah, the league is looking like right now. Got Bobby in first place, 3-0, going crazy.
So good.
Got me in 3-0 right now. In second, got Tristan in third,
Yeah.
Ari in fourth, EJ in fifth, J Rob in sixth, got ZD in seventh at 1 and 2, got Everett at 8 and 1 and 2, uh Pobre Tomate at ninth, and we got Cam at 10th, Mike at 11th, and Scales at the bottom of the league right now. We have two teams that are 0-3. But
Winless.
what do you think about the season so far, bro? What's your mentality going into this upcoming week?
The next one,
Yeah.
I'm 1-2. I had a bit of a tough schedule. I This past week I did have the most points and loss, so like my schedule's just kind of tough. But I told you, I mean, if I go 1-3, 1-4, like I'm out. I think I have a good roster, but it doesn't like yours. That doesn't really matter. That's why I always say like. I think we had somebody who was tweaking about the number one pick. I'm like, bro, none of this matters.
Yeah,
Like, all of it
it
comes
doesn't.
down to like your schedule, and like, there's a lot of factors that go into it. It's not just like you get the number one pick and I have Wemby, so I'm the
You
best
win,
team. Like,
yeah.
that's not how that works. But anyways, to make the point, like if I suck, I'm playing Dynasty. Like I need the picks. I'm not gonna try to win and try to go on a 4 or 5 game win streak. It's gonna put me at 5-4. Like I'll be a 6 seed still.
Right.
So if it's not clear to me that I'm gonna be 5-1, 6-1, like I definitely go heavy the opposite way, and I'll start being less efficient on purpose
Right.
because I really want the picks, especially from this year, like DeBansta, Peterson, and Wilson, and Nate Ahmed and Boozer, and like
Hmm.
it just
It's
seems really,
it's
really
loaded. It's
good.
a loaded draft, bro. Like
It's
this is,
worth it.
I was gonna say this might be probably one of the best times to start a dynasty, especially like heading into this upcoming
Oh, like
offseason.
going forward,
Going
yeah,
forward,
for
like this
sure.
might be like, oh, this is what turned, if you end up, not selling the season, but you're at a point where you're kind of like, oh, I think I might as well just kind of tank a little bit. Like this would be like, oh yeah, ZD is gonna get AJ next year. ZD's gonna get Darren
Right.
Peterson, and his team's gonna be completely different. You know what I mean?
I'll be
So
way different. I'll be in
yeah,
a better spot for years to come. And so it might be like CJ's saying, out of any year to do it, this year I might, and I hate losing, but I will lose
yeah,
so I can get what I need.
right.
But
No,
how do
yeah.
you feel about it, man?
No, I feel good, bro. Honestly, like this, I texted you like I have 4 wins right now in my fantasy football, and I have 3 wins in the first 3 weeks from the Dynasty Basketball League. So I'm kind of locked in. I'm not gonna lie. I think I'm in a good spot. I kind of control my own destiny. My matchups haven't been the hardest, but at the time that I was going against them, I was going against people that were like undefeated, early on in the season. So 2-0, one and
You
0.
also put up hella points, bro. I
Yeah,
think you'd still beat the other, like you would have beaten me like everybody else, my brother.
right.
So I
Yeah,
don't
and
even
I
know.
think I think the thing too that's kind of going my way. Obviously you can see the points against, points for. My points against is like less than 1,000 games in the first 3 games. So I also think that has something to do with it, obviously. But I've also been putting up a lot of points. So,
1,400.
yeah, so I think
Yeah.
I'm in a good spot, bro. I don't want to, start shouting and dancing that I'm 3-0, but man, like I said, I'm not that successful right now in my fantasy football league, so I'm locked in, bro. I'm trying to start this dynasty league off right, and
Yeah.
hopefully I can make some noise, bro. Make the playoffs is all I'm asking for at this point.
Let's say you do win the chip, right? Like, what are you gonna do with the 12th pick?
See, that's gonna be tough. Like I feel
Because
like
then your
this.
team doesn't get,
Yeah, it's not like it's gonna get significantly better unless I just get a steal. You know what I mean? And I'm just locked.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could.
You
That's
could,
the
yeah,
thing. You
you could.
could. There's always you can find a gem for
Yeah, I would
sure.
say
I
we're
think
all gonna be able to get a lottery
it's the
pick.
same.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same.
So
You're gonna get a lottery pick for sure,
yeah, lottery.
at least.
Yeah. How many rounds is it? Like continue
It's
on?
5.
5. Okay. So
So I try to
six.
do. I
Okay.
think there's 60. So there's 30 in each round, right?
Mm-hmm,
30 picks from each round in the NBA. I
mm-hmm.
did 5 times 12 is 60.
60.
So we
So
could take all 60 from
that
the
the
draft.
rookie
Yeah.
draft. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, we gotta be locked in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for that because
It's cool, bro.
that's gonna be super interesting. Especially like we'll see uh who was tapped in with like college hoops and stuff. Because like, oh yeah, that guy was going crazy. Or I don't know if you saw. I forgot his name, bro, but he goes to Virginia Tech. He kind of plays like Luca.
Oh my gosh, I forgot. Dude, I saw that. I was going to say in March, we'll probably have some college
College,
things because
yeah,
I've been watching it closely for Dynasty. So I have the 6'9" Luca guy. Yeah, he looks
yes,
good.
he
He
looks
looks good.
good. He
He
looks
plays
good,
like
bro.
him
So
too. I
I'm
forget
I'm
his name,
I'm
but
excited, bro. Just like I said, just being able to keep up with the game and another aspect, and obviously, we're all competitive. We want to win, so it just gets me excited because I'm like, man, let me look at my score. Let me look at this who this player has this week to see if he's gonna get a better score, and just trying to be efficient with my picks that I'm locking in. So think I got a good squad, bro. I could definitely compete for the chip, and that's kind of my mentality going forward up to this point. Like I said, 3-0 isn't nothing to shout out about, but like I said, I have almost as many wins as my other league, my fantasy league. So I'm kind of excited, bro.
there you go, man. Well, I think you have anything else you wanted to add, brother?
Nah, man. Thunder up. Got a big game against y'all on Wednesday. That's our next game. Excited. Ready to see what we look like against y'all. I feel like that's always a good matchup, and maybe we'll hop on stream or be able to watch it together, or
Yeah,
get
we'll do
try to
some.
get this content out for y'all. But nah, man, just keep watching hoops. Thunder up.
Yeah.
AJ Mitchell, 6 man of the year. Is there anything you want to say to the audience, bro?
um, yeah, man. Just we'll see. We'll see on Wednesday. I think previewing it. Just maybe LeBron comes back. I don't know if the Lakers will be able to beat the Thunder, even with all their injuries, but it'll be competitive. Keep watching hoops. Yeah, I think that'll do it for me, man. That'll do it for the boys over here at Three Man Weave. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe. We appreciate you guys. We'll catch y'all next time, man. Peace.
Peace.
Three
Three man,
man, three
three man,
man.
three
Come on,
man.
man.